Today, from the Zaporizhzhia direction, only routine reports from the Ministry of Defense. And nothing specific. We go straight to Krasnohorivka. Here, the advance of Russian forces continues. Let's talk about it. Geographic materials from this front sector must be examined because Russian and Ukrainian sources disagree on what's happening here. According to Ukrainian sources, this area has just come under Russian control. According to Russian sources, Russian troops have already entered the population center, and some even report reaching Vatutin Street. Found it. That is, the situation is unclear for now. So let's definitely take a look on geomaterials that come from there. Arrived. The first geospatial material I want to show you is right at this spot. Here is roughly the result of a positional battle in Krasnogorsk on your screens, showing the damage to the armed forces of the Russian Federation, abandoned tank T-72 of the Ukrainian armed forces in the southern part of Krasnogorovka at Pervomaisk. In the video, Russian drone operators observe a burning Ukrainian tank. Trying to identify exactly which tank this is. Ukrainian equipment is burning on your screen. So the geomaterial has arrived from here, right at this point. But Russian artillery is shelling the temporary deployment as a kind of point of the Ukrainian armed forces in Krasnohorivka on your screens. And now the last geospatial material from here. At this point, Russian FABs are arriving to the temporary deployment point of the Ukrainian armed forces in Krasnohorivka. The video clearly shows the FAB hitting the building and completely it destroys him. It's too early to draw any conclusions about this section of the front and the progress of Russian troops based on the existing geographic materials. All messages were in written format from both sides, accordingly without video confirmation so far. Geomaterials came from here. Here's a burning Ukrainian tank. Here are the strikes of Russian artillery, and here are the strikes of Russian aviation. It clearly shows that Russian troops are trying to advance, but where they are at the moment is hard to say. Now at LiDAR, let's go back a bit on the map here. Russian troops are striking here on your screens about Uglidar. Nei brigos arrival several garoata minhas aqui na Karastum, mas as duas LiDAR is difficult for comfort sequence. After the Russian forces claim victory, the path is open to cut off Ugledar's only supply line through Crimea. I actually explained to you about Konstantinivka, where this supply line is located. It goes about like this. It's the only one, an asphalt road that leads to Glidar, and the Russian troops just claim victory right here. Accordingly, their path will be open for rebounding these supply lines. After being cut off, Ugledar will undoubtedly be doomed. Now let's move to Avdeevka. The main events are happening along the front line. Look how many changes there are. For you, they are marked as in another color on the map, like this reddish one. It represents changes along the front line according to information from Russian sources, Russian war correspondents, and Ukrainian sources as well, meaning we always verify the information. Let's start with the thin end. At this section, Russian military correspondents reported that the defense of the adversary once again cracked the Abden direction. Russian forces have fully liberated Berdyansk and Tonenka. Only the northern part of the village remains to be cleared. At the moment, the armed forces of Ukraine are trying to hastily prepare new defensive lines. So they say a thin one was taken on Irs Orlivka. Only the northern outskirts are left, Ukrainian forces. But new information has just come in. The Russian military also reports that Russian troops have completed the cleanup of the north.
Orange.
Cleverly, the village was fully carpeted at night. Under the control of the armed forces of the Russian Federation, remnants of Ukrainian formations retreated towards Uman. Crimes were committed not only by Russian but also by Ukrainian artillery hitting the armed forces of Ukraine units. So a thin one was taken and Orlovka was taken. Berdichi, two messages came from Russian war correspondents. They say that Russian troops, we've completely taken Berdyshiv, yes. It might be hard to believe, but but it's true. Russian troops captured 3 settlements at once. Yesterday I told you that this was precisely where the Ukrainian forces' defense line was. Literally in one day they lost it. A complete collapse of the Ukrainian armed forces' defense along the lines of Berdishi or Lovi. According to information from Russian war correspondents, but that's not all. Ukrainian sources confirmed this collapse. Look, the capture of southern Orlovka in the Avdeevka direction subtly, and to Berdishi by the evening of February 28, 2024. In the evening, reports came in of a serious offensive by the armed North Russian Federation in the area of Orlovka west of Avdeevka. Before this, the advancing units of the RSF managed to secure a position at CEPs on the edge of the Green Point and advanced to Yelagin and Pokbrada streets. They reached the nearest dam, allowing them to fire at Ukrainian forces from behind. Located in Lovte in Orlovka. Throughout the day, Russian Federation forces entrenched themselves in the village center and by evening had established control over the entire its southern part. The Russians also managed to fully capture the Thin. In another area, Ukrainian forces near Berdyansk also retreat, resulting in information about the complete capture of the village by Russian forces by the end of the day. After retreating from Avdeevka, Ukrainian units failed to establish defense on the line. It cracked along the seams and couldn't hold back the advance of Russian troops. On the western direction, that is, Ukrainian sources agree with everything. The source of what I just said are Russian war correspondents initially. That is, Russian troops are taking a Thin, Russian troops are taking Orlivka, and at the same time Russian troops are taking Birch Tree. This was what they called the retreat line, the defense line. After leaving Avdeevka, it's right here. Ukrainian troops were supposed to concentrate here and to continue holding the defense. That was the main plan of the Ukrainian command. They talked about it openly. To a previously prepared defense line. This was a defense line. Berdichi, Orlovka, Toneka were mentioned to you yesterday. And this defense line didn't last even a day. Understand, they didn't even have a day. Couldn't hold out here. Now, let's also show geospatial materials from this part of the front. Very interesting. Let's start. From here. At this point, on your screens, active combat operations in the Abdai direction. A small Russian Federation infantry units attack west of Lastoshkino. Shelling of the assault group on the outskirts of Orlivka by the armed forces of Ukraine. Now, at this point, material has arrived. Military actions on the northern flank of Avdeevka. Shelling of the Ukrainian armed forces Bradley infantry fighting vehicle FPV-2. Drones of the Russian Federation armed forces. During the retreat from the firing position in the village of Semenovo. In the video, Bradley takes a drone hit on the move. And the last material came from here, in this area, on the video of the Russian MLRS. It destroys equipment and positions of the Ukrainian armed forces. In Berdyansk, in the Berdyansk areas before the assault, that is, the map shows a complete collapse. If the Troitsk defense exists, Ukraine, the situation just 5 days ago on the 22nd, this is how it all looked, where the Ukrainian forces were retreating. Right here, according to the Ukrainian command's plan, they were supposed to hold back the Russian troops. That's the situation as of today. The front line looks like this. Russian troops immediately break through this defense. What's next for the Ukrainian armed forces? What's the next line of defense? somewhere around Novoprokopovsk. I can't even tell you exactly. Maybe somewhere around here they will line up and lines of defense. So there will definitely be a deep breakthrough here because there's simply nothing here. It's all fields except for Uman. Semenovka has already been caught in the pincers. Look, Russian troops, they approached it from the north and the south. Semenovka is doomed. Semenovka will only, surely tomorrow there will be a report that Semenovka too, it fell. Now an attack is open on the Uman direction. This way you can enter here. The back of the Mayday, that is. The Pervomaysky crossroads is also all in question now because there is a cutting through the defense line, so it's a similar situation to Ugledar. And there's Buris there. No, the supply line goes through Uman, where Russian troops effectively get behind them. So now the situation here has completely turned into a catastrophe for the Ukrainian armed forces, and retreating literally on all fronts. And that is not all. Let's move to the Bakhmut direction. There it seems the situation, not that the Ukrainian forces have retreated too much, but they are retreating here too. The Russian Ministry of Defense reported that in the Donetsk direction, a unit of the South Group of Forces improved in the tactical situation along the front line. That is, they usually report it in a veiled way, but say that they improved. Russian military correspondents provide a bit more information. Here it is marked for you in a different color as progress forward. According to Russian military correspondents, Russian troops continue the offensive on several fronts. Under Bakhmut, units of the armed forces, armed forces of northern Russia, were able to make significant progress in Red Ivanovsky, gaining control over half of the populated area. That is, half of the Red is already under the control of the Russians. I told you that the Russian armed forces took the heights near Red approximately here at first, and there was also a breakthrough in the north, meaning the Red is now in the lowland and it's no longer Ukrainian once the heights right by the settlement are taken. Ukrainian forces in it were of course doomed, so the Ukrainians are retreating. Surely somewhere right here. Here there is a height, and somewhere here for sure. They have a defense line, another height too. That is, the Red is now likely to become a gray zone until Russian units completely clear the heights to the north and to the south. That's how, only after this, it can be said that the Red is under the control of the Russian army. But again, I'll tell you, judging by the overall front situation, this is it's a matter of time because the armed forces of Ukraine are currently suffering a complete defeat on all fronts.